Hi, after almost 2 years of constant daily uploads of me playing Plants vs Zombies 2 mods, I guess it's time I finally spoke about them in a more both general and broad manner in a form of this tier list. Please keep in mind that I won't grade the mods based on their overall mechanics like the sun meta, gameplay tempo, or the audience direction of a certain mod, but I'm gonna mostly focus on the overall intended fun and the quality aspects of each. Also, with the help of the people that voted in my recent PvZ 2 mod ranking doc sheet prepared for this video, I will be also comparing my thoughts with the community. Thank you, and let's go. There's 19 mods in total, so let's start by talking about them in an alphabetical order, starting with Absolution. PvZ 2 Absolution is more a meme-sided mod that brings quite a lot of content, featuring a lot of zombie reworks and brand new zombies too, lots of references to other games as well as dead memes. Initially when I started playing it, there were some balance issues and some of the levels didn't feel as satisfying, so to say, but as far as I know most of such issues have been fixed. Some of the new content has been even added, so I think overall it got better now. The only issue that kind of persists, at least for me, is the economy, and yeah, overall balancing again. It's very easy to get a lot of sun, yet some of the offensive plants recharge is very slow, often resulting in a high sun bank that we can't really spend too quickly, as we just have to wait for the plants to finally recharge for no reason. But yeah, overall it offers a lot of wacky content and it's fun, which is why I'ma put it on B+. Absolution supposedly has ended, but a new mod of the same developer, Absolution, is coming out soon, so who knows? Maybe it's gonna be an even better one, time shall tell. Based on the community ranking of the mods I've played, Absolution received 192 votes in total, taking a spot as the number 7 mod. More info about the overall community score at the end of the video. The second mod from the alphabetical order is none other than Alternate Universe, AltverZ. Definitely one of the mods that is cooking, probably the most delicious dishes nowadays. Of course there are some ups and downs, but their recent activity definitely deserves a high spot for this mod, this time around, which might not satisfy people as much. This mod is based on a 25 sun meta, which will cause the gameplay to be slower than usual. The overall point of AltverZ is to give its players the original Plants vs Zombies 1 feeling. Some of the stronger plants have been nerfed, but also all of the zombies' walking speed has been reduced a little. Let's perhaps talk about the known downs. It is known that the early AltverZ worlds are rather weak in comparison to the latest ones that have been released. Personally, I remember not really liking my beginnings with this mod, especially after going through their early version of Ancient Egypt, Pirate Seas, etc. etc. Things just didn't bring much into the table and were very slow overall. Nowadays Ancient Egypt has been improved with a new soundtrack overhaul. Officially there is also an upcoming update that is planning to give some improvements to the Pirate Seas as well, so we can only hope that the future updates will at some point also improve all the other worlds like Wild West, Lost City, NMT and more. But don't worry, like I said, the developers are aware of this, and in the download link you can also find a head start save, pp.dat, which will let you skip some of the early worlds, so you can get into the good stuff quicker. About the advantages, there's quite a lot. First of all, most importantly for me, brand new soundtrack that is introduced at least once in each world. In short, new mid-wave C soundtrack composed by Whisper, epic brand new remixes of Zombtopia at the final levels of each world too, as well as brand new remixes of Grasswalk for pretty much all available events. Quality new zombies, new gimmicks especially at the latest worlds. Big Wave Beach and Jurassic Marsh especially. Not to mention the amount of quality travel log quests that are actually worth playing cause they introduce yet even more gimmicks and zombies. AltverZ is also actively hosting some community events, challenges, timed events and piñata parties with new plant costumes only limited through such piñatas. They are also in collaboration with Reflourished, so yeah, these things speak for themselves. These people really do care about the quality. So yeah, one more down might be the rarity of updates, but jokes aside it's all understandable. Despite the rough start I used to have with this mod, Ultimately it's a peak of quality and a goldmine of new content. Like I said, some people might not enjoy the overall pace this mod offers, but that doesn't stop me to give this mod a highest spot. It's an S, and overall I think community would also agree. Looking at the community ranking, AltverZ received 916 votes in total, making it a #1 mod. Congratulations to the AltverZ team. Next up, PvZ 2 Chronoscapade, or in short, Chronos. Honestly, it's very saddening looking at the fact that the mod has been abandoned. Early worlds of it might not have offered as much, but it did have some new stuff. It did show the peak performance in Dark Ages considering how reworked it was. The overall level design was also decent and it was rather one of those harder mods, but nothing extreme, so no worries. It did also offer some actually brand new plants or reworked plants imported from the Chinese version, so yeah, I'd say it's also worth checking out. Definitely just to see on what the mod could have been if it actually wasn't abandoned. Looking on its potential, I'm pretty sure I'd even give this mod at least an A. But yeah, in its current state and the peak performance that was sadly its last world, with heavy heart I'll just give it a B. It doesn't really deserve this kind of rating, as I know also many people enjoyed it to a certain extent, but well, at least in comparison to other mods. Fact that it's not going to receive any more updates, sadly I think it just should stay there. Based on the community ranking, Chronos received 140 votes, resulting in a #10 spot. Next mod, Eclise. Too bad I've played the way worse version of it, as it was the Eclise Alpha/2.0. Overall, despite playing the worse version, I still enjoyed it. Some nostalgic quality too, as Eclise is basically the first PvZ2 mod to be created, known for its wider audience. The main quality of Eclise is definitely its unique tier-up system. The main gimmick of the mod is to buy tiers for your desired plants so that they're more powerful, but it also comes with a price. Kinda like Team Fortress 2 weapons, you can bring out a stock weapon, but you might as well replace it with a similar weapon that has its own ups and downs. In short, at least Eclise Beta tries to bring a huge variety into the strategies, as pretty much almost all of the plants can be tiered up, making the gameplay more unique. You will also find there some of new zombies, gimmicks and plants. There's also a plenty of levels that are divided into so-called chapters. Travel log is full of additional quests that also bring out some new stuff, minigames and even zombie mode. So why is the Eclise Alpha worse? Unfortunately, all the balance with the Alpha goes to the toilet. From what I've seen, even the levels have been reworked for some reason, removing some of the original gimmicks from the good old beta. Alpha reworked some of the plants, making them absolutely broken to the point things are just unfair and the game is too easy. When I started playing Eclise Alpha, I literally felt like I could beat the whole game with just tier 2 repeater, and I wasn't really wrong about it at all. I mean, if you haven't played Eclise at all, you will still enjoy the Alpha, but I definitely recommend going after Beta instead. Sadly, I didn't play Beta, so my ranking will be mostly based on Alpha, but I'm also taking the quality of Beta into account. Keep in mind that Eclise is one of the very first mods ever released, and even then, there's a lot of visual improvements, which is really appreciated. Sadly, both Eclise Alpha and Beta are now dead. Still, there is so much content that it will surely keep you busy for a few days of playing. There's also more Eclise-based mods coming up, like Solstice for example, which is supposedly going to be a slightly remade beta, so ultimately maybe it's better to wait for them to release. Either way, I'm giving Eclise Alpha B+, with the community score of 296 votes, taking Eclise to the #4 spot. Seems like Beta sure is worth trying out. PvZ2 Expedition surely was praised a lot when I was about to start playing it. I kinda understand why, because it really has tons of new content. Expedition is a 25-sun meta mod, which is not scared to put various zombies from other timelines into an area that is not adequate to them at all. Overall, its approach to the levels is very bizarre and unique in its own way, as you won't see anything like this in any other mod. The mod offers a lot of challenging seasonal levels, in which your plants will receive either a boost or a nerf, depending on what you brought in the season we're currently in. This might get very confusing for some players, mostly because the mod is purely Chinese. There is no English letters and the mod needs some understanding if you want to play it to the fullest. Not knowing Chinese shouldn't stop you from enjoying it though. In Expedition you will find a lot of both custom new zombies and some of the new and reworked plants. Overall, the main attribute of PvZ2 Expedition is the lack of regular vanilla worlds. There are worlds, but almost all of them are very mixed and feel more like a random challenge pack. There are some standard worlds though, which is probably the most exciting part about Expedition. The Chinese version worlds, Sky City, An Age, Steam Ages, Renaissance and so on, though the quality of them isn't really as satisfactory, though I gotta admit that for me Expedition has the best Renaissance Age I've ever played. But like I said, the worlds aren't really the main Expedition course, it's more about its travel log quests. Let's just say there's a diary of them. The quests in Expedition feel like they're never ending. I've got very mixed feelings towards them cause a lot of them feel rather fillery, but there's also some good ones. I still haven't beat them all by the way, slowly grinding my way through. Personally not that huge of a fan of Expedition, I was mostly excited to check out the Chinese worlds, which are mostly good. But keep in mind that's just my opinion. Lots of people seem to really enjoy Expedition and the quests it offers, so ultimately it can't be that bad. Guess I'm just not fond of the idea of mixing too many different zombies into a single level cause things just feel too out of place. About the difficulty, I'd say it's rather hardish, perhaps the quest levels are rather easy-sided, but the Chinese worlds will surely bring you a lot of challenge, which might end in a frustration. Playing the travel log quests is recommended so that you can farm coins to buy some necessary plants. So my personal grade on Expedition I'd say is B+. Based on the community ranking, PvZ2 Expedition received 89 votes, leaving it on the number 14 place. That's surprising. PvZ2 Fallen. So far I'd say it's definitely one of the easiest mods the community has to offer. If someone asks you for a mod that is very casual friendly and has some new content, just say Fallen. As a tryhard I gotta admit I wasn't really a fan of this mod, I just wasn't fond of its difficulty, but still gotta admit that there has been a lot of quality work poured into it. So if you're not playing PvZ2 mods to purely sweat yourself, feel free to try it out. It has a lot of sound and texture improvements. In the second half of the mod you will also find some new zombies that are probably one of the best zombies made when it comes to their sound effects. Let's not forget about the minigames in each world, which is probably one of the best things that happened in PvZ2 Fallen. Kinda lied about the difficulty cause Omega levels exist, but they are purely endgame content with a visible note that they are in fact the hardest compared to the rest of the adventure. Also nowadays from what we can see officially, there's an ongoing Fallen remake, basically Fallen 2.0, which is aiming to more or less rework some of the levels if not all of them, while also adding in actual brand new areas with brand new zombies. One could say that these are going to be pretty much brand new worlds, so that's really exciting and can't wait to play it, although the release date isn't known yet. So yeah, despite the fact that I'm not really fond of easy stuff in my life as I'm most likely a masochist, I still gotta give Fallen an applause for their quality of life improvements with some pretty base minigames, which were the most memorable part of Fallen for me. I'm going to give it B+, but pretty sure it's gonna be higher the next time when the 2.0 arrives. Can't wait. Based on the community rating, Fallen has received 148 votes, resulting in a number 8 place. Next up, PvZ2 Garden Rush. Before this mod arrived there was already one similar mod in the existence, and just based on it I thought I'm not really fond of such gameplay style, basically just 4 slots against the hordes of zombies, but that's not true at all. Garden Rush in fact is a very quality mod that just offers an entire different gameplay, bringing us a new PvZ2 experience. The usual Plants vs Zombies 2 concept of regular worlds is non-existent here, though it's just a demo and so far we have only one location, which is a forest. One can already tell that there was a lot of work been put behind it. The mod as for now doesn't have too much to offer as again it's a demo, but despite that everything has been pretty much retextured. The plants work in a completely different manner, brand new soundtrack, brand new lawn. Power-ups have been replaced by the special powers that are kinda similar and are based on the game Kingdom Rush. So yeah, I really do think it's worth trying out. You won't regret it. I was actually heavily considering putting it on an S tier, but since it's a demo and it's relatively short I'll give it an A+. Pretty sure I'm gonna give it an actual S as soon as the quality stays up with the full release. Kinda excited to see more chapters of it too. Based on the community rating, Garden Rush received 143 votes, putting it on the number 9 place. Well, that's kinda low, but I guess there weren't enough of voters. Sob. Time for the one and only, surely community most loved, PvZ2 Legend X. That's a joke. It's rather quite the opposite, and here's why. Basically Legend X, or Lex in short, is a Kaizo difficulty mod, heavily based on vanilla principles. Kaizo meaning it's just extremely hard, or as one would say, simply unfair. It has a lot of extreme levels that were made purely for the veteran Plants vs. Zombies 2 scene. Either masochistic people play it, try-harding tryhards, or people who actually want to get better, and that's the best part about Lex. Yes, you heard me right. I'm saying Lex is good. Well, not necessarily good in terms of its quality and overall content it provides, but objectively speaking this mod is the best way to learn how to be an actual good PvZ2 player. Trust me or not, but this mod really teaches the player that some of the most underrated PvZ2 plants are actually one of the best plants in existence. Mostly talking here about Chomper and Fat Pete. Not only that, but even with that knowledge it's not that simple to beat a Lex level. One actually needs a lot of skill to execute their strategy. But yeah, compared to other Kaizo mods, Lex offers the least amount of new content, but I feel like it provides the best lesson, if that makes sense. Yes, there also are some of the new gimmicks, new plants and new zombies that can also be spotted in other mods, unless you get into Lex Expands. Cursed Torchlight Zombie. Even heard of him? The things I dislike in Lex are its cheap tricks to make the player fail, starting from Dark Ages, gradually appearing in other worlds too, being the worst in Jurassic Marsh, but yeah, it is what it is. I also hate the fact on how bland the first worlds of it are. I really don't understand why do the first 3 worlds even exist. They're not difficult at all. They're just fillery, and in my opinion they should be actually removed or completely remade. I also don't understand the point of the store. You can buy the most overpowered plants there for gems. I guess it's just a way for a player if they want to see the new content, but don't want to deal with the extreme difficulty. Either way, after a hard debating in my head, I'm gonna give Lex B tier, while the community placed it on the number 15 place with 77 votes. Next up, PvZ2 Original. Do not mistake it with PvZ2 Vanilla that you can download from the Apple or Google Play Store. Original is an actual mod that aims to bring out even more variety and difficulty. It's probably the only 25 Sun meta mod that isn't slow in the slightest. It actually has a lot to offer too. The adventure mode is rather lengthy. The overall feeling of this mod is as if one would play a harder vanilla version of PvZ2, but also in 25 Sun meta. Each world of course is the same, but with new unique gimmicks, new zombies, plant rebalances and reworks. Interesting part about Original is the fact that power-ups are actually free. They have been nerfed though, which might give you an option on whether you would prefer to play the mod power-up less or with the use of power-ups. Using power-ups of course is gonna make the mod piss easy and won't bring out as much of the challenge as intended, but it's all up to you. Not only the lengthy adventure mode, but Original also offers some challenge packs in which you can get some additional plants and bonuses, as well as special expands that offer even more challenging levels with veteran zombies inside them. Not only do the vanilla worlds exist, but there is also the Time Twister, Kung Fu World and Backyard Big Top, all of them having at least one unique gimmick. The mod also offers some timed events from time to time in which you can get additional mints to buy the good stuff with. So yeah, keep in mind the mod is rather hardish, but if you get to know your reworked plants better I'm sure you can do this. This mod in my opinion is really worth checking out. Personally I'm gonna give it an A, while the community voted on it 234 times, placing it on the number 6 spot. Nice. Next mod, PvZ2 Project Skill Tree, or just PST in short. It's rather a young mod that have been just recently released. We could also kinda consider it a demo as it has only 40 levels in total, but despite that it has some actual interesting ideas when it comes to zombie reworks and some actual new zombies too. The main gimmick of this mod is the way you unlock a plant. As the title of the mod says, it's all based on the skill tree, in which you can check out more info about in the mod's almanac. Basically the only way to get plants is by checking out the travel log and simply clicking on the plant you want. The mod has a so to say invisible plant tier system. The almanac will tell you the criteria you have to meet to unlock a certain plant, like for example if you want unlock C, you have to buy both A and B. You unlock some of the tier 1 plants automatically in the very first world too, which is kinda nice. About the difficulty, when I first played it, it was kinda hardish, but from what I've heard from the creator, some of the early levels are about to get nerfed in difficulty, while the later ones might be a little buffed. I kinda like to call this mod PvZ2 Requiem V2 with all the respect to Requiem, because the criteria of unlocking plants are kind of similar, same with the limit of 6 slots only. The only difference is the sun meta, as PST has 50 sun meta instead. Nevertheless, despite its young start and rather still low amount of content, I'm willing to give it a chance, mostly because of the quality of production it has shown. I also like the level design for the most part, so I will give it an A. While the community voted on PST only 64 times, resulting in a number 18 place, well, I guess that's understandable. Most of the people haven't even heard of it yet. Next up, PvZ2 Quasar. Quasar took a very interesting approach as a goal of making this mod one of the harder ones. Instead of spamming some absurd amount of zombies like a typical Kaizo mod, here on the other hand pretty much all of the plants have been nerfed to some extent. Our goal as a player is to find a way out of this problem by somehow working around with the nerfed plants that we get. Not only that, but also most of the special zombies have been buffed and reworked with some new abilities too, so things are kinda one-sided. Everything is pretty much against us. While some of the world might feel a bit weak when it comes to content, level design and quality, things are starting to get extra good when we reach far future. At this point we don't really have to deal with weak plants as much anymore, as we have so many other way better options. Overall, Quasar is not a bad mod. I can recommend it to people who are looking for a mod harder than the others, but not too extremely difficult one. This mod is not a typical Kaizo made by the Chinese players that will spam the zombies onto you from all sides. It's more about reacting to each plant change and brainstorming on what might or might not work. Sadly, there isn't also any of unique content. Things might feel a bit budget, but that's alright. It's a mod after all. The thing I dislike about Quasar is the way we're getting certain plants. They often like to grant us plans that are completely useless in the current world we're playing, but would be good later on. So that's interesting, kind of a bait. But just don't take the bait and you shall live. One more thing I dislike is how some of the levels work. Like some of them are pretty longish. You think you're gonna finally beat it, but there is like 3 flags in total, the first 2 being rather easy while the final flag will totally wreck you, meaning you have wasted like 6 minutes on trying a single strategy, which is kinda annoying. I really liked some of the earlier worlds though. When it comes to so to say normal level design, I'd say it has one of the better ancient Egypt and pirate seas. And yeah, things start to improve when we visit far future and later. Travel log quests don't also feel like fillers, so yeah, it's pretty good. For me it's B+, while the community ranked Quasar with 70 votes, placing it on the number 17 spot. Oh well. And pretty much another king arrives. Here is PvZ2 Reflourished. Pretty sure everyone at this point have heard at least once about this mod. It has brought many of us into the Plants vs Zombies 2 community, including me too. So Reflourished can be considered a PvZ2 vanilla expansion that pretty much kept all of the original levels untouched, while also adding its own expand levels with brand new zombies inside them. Currently it has 2 brand new worlds, Holiday Mashup and Steam Ages. Reflourished is of course famous for its quality approach. We won't see any goofy things unless it's April Fools. Just like in AltverZ, there is a lot of brand new composed soundtracks, this time by PMix. Reflourished is definitely the mod you want to recommend to all the people who are either starting their Plants vs Zombies 2 experience or the ones who actually finished it, so they can continue the journey with their save file already inserted. Reflourished also offers brand new plants that you can get from their new worlds, world expands, the store or the travel log. It also actively produces daily piñata parties and tries to keep up with the seasonal timed events just like PvZ2 Vanilla does it, but of course better. Of course the plant leveling is completely removed, thrown out into the bin. The overpowered plants are now way more balanced. Yes, about the balance. Reflourished actively tried to balance all the plants one way or another. Some of them might feel weird, like for example Winter Melon Pulp, but I think ultimately it's still a better work than what has Vanilla done to PvZ2 nowadays. As mentioned before, Reflourished is collaborating with AltverZ together, so yeah, I don't know if competing is a right term to describe both of these mods, but they are surely on the top of the community's hearts for a reason. There is a lot that can be said about them, but it would be better if you just put a little more trust into us and just download this mod. No more needs to be said. Hopefully. S tier, 854 votes, number 2 spot, very close to AltverZ, but I think if more people voted, Reflourished would probably win since I think it's more popular. PvZ2 Reprise is another one of those Kaizo/very hard mods that isn't afraid to give its players some butt whooping, though this one is actually one of the most unique mods available on the market. It has very creative ideas, very creative brand new plants, new interesting gimmicks, minigames, reworked plant food effects of some plants, and even more interesting zombies. Overall, I gotta admit that it's one of the best Chinese mods out there. By saying Chinese I don't mean it has the Chinese text, by the way. Well, some of the levels might feel a bit unfair, but yeah, you should definitely try this mod out. There is actually Reprise 2.0 on the way too, which is planning to rework either the entire Reprise, or the part of it, adding even more never to be seen yet zombies and perhaps plants too. I'm really excited for it, not gonna lie, and can't wait to finally get my hands on it when it arrives. The only thing I disliked about the current Reprise are the ridiculous zombie boss fights, which sometimes feel literally impossible, but I guess that's just the thing about the Chinese community, as Lex has exactly the same issue. Reprise also used to have a tendency for random crashes when I used to play it, though it might be probably fixed now. I think I have no regrets giving it an A+. Hopefully with Reprise 2.0 it's gonna be an S. Based on the community ranking, surprisingly Reprise is just on the number 12 place with 103 votes. Guess people don't really like hard mods after all. PvZ2 Requiem is an interesting mod with a brand new approach to getting plants and overall economy and the style of fighting off the zombies. Basically the only way to obtain plants here is only by buying them from the store with coins. The overall pace of this mod has been drastically changed too, actually giving us more of a feel of PvZ2 AltverZ, but more tactical so to say. It also has the 25 sun meta. For the entire adventure we will only have 6 slots in total for our disposal, kind of limiting our choice, making things surely more challenging. About the economy and the overall pace, it's the only mod that gives us 200 starting sun on almost every level. But the first zombies also come out way faster, resulting in a faster gameplay pace, even though it's still the 25 sun meta, so things are definitely more interactive with adequate fun implemented. PvZ2 Requiem has a lot of new zombies and zombie reworks, same with brand new gimmicks and plants. As a little fun fact, some of the ideas has been taken from Eclise too. This time around the gimmicks are more gameplay effective, like for example the tornadoes in Big Wave Beach or meteorites in Jurassic Marsh. Overall each level is very unique. I really like the level design. The mod definitely isn't for brand new players, as you need some plant knowledge so you know which plants you should buy, but overall it's not really that hard. Doesn't belong to the easiest ones either, but I feel like it's very rewarding. The mod has been pretty much officially concluded too, leaving us with the Rome world that has been completely reworked. All other vanilla worlds, lots of side challenges that are actually very unique too in their own way, new special zombies in both Visbreaker and Endless, and Time Twister as a finale. What can I say, pretty good quality stuff. A+ tier from me. Number 3 place from the community with 326 votes. PvZ2 Shuttle. Well, it's definitely the most known mod, at least in the Chinese scene, that has a really rough past and is often hated on, and it's honestly 100% understandable. But let's start from the beginning. Shuttle is the ultimate Kaizo mod. Pretty much it's currently the hardest PvZ2 mod known to mankind, although I'd love to debate about its difficulty with Legend X. Aside from difficulty, Shuttle has taken the most unique and in my opinion the most enjoyable and memorable approach when it comes to the world order, plants and overall level design. Basically the main idea behind this mod is to give its players overpowered plants, that are pretty much custom, brand new made plants, against the hordes of zombies, that at some point are also overpowered as either they are brand new made too, or they have been just buffed in stats and being spammed like crazy to the point it can just overwhelm the entire lawn. About the world order, there are some normal worlds, that just pretty much act as a filler for the most part, and then there are all the Chinese worlds. Currently there are also 2 new Shuttle exclusive only worlds too, House of Plantagenet and still in the making, Chinese Garden. Shuttle sure is plentiful in its content. It used to be rather bad back in the day, but lately they have been kinda cooking, while also reworking some of the previous worlds and fixing the issues so things are up to the standard, but it's not always so colorful. More about it later. About the overall difficulty, unlike Legend X, Shuttle is mostly focused on so-called puzzle levels. There are the levels where you just need to use either your knowledge to overcome them, while frequently also mastering your skills of reaction time. Honestly, the adventure mode of Shuttle is not the hardest part of this mod, but it's all about its travel log quests and absolutely ridiculous timed events. If you come across my channel, you will surely hear about an event called Fun Time a lot. So far as I write this, it's sadly unavailable at the moment, but I really want to try it out again after a year as I consider it the hardest and the most brain-dead event I've ever played, and I want to test myself again when it's available. So let's talk about the downs now. One of the biggest issues Shuttle is its constant keeping up with the vanilla official updates for some reason. Despite the absolutely broken build of vanilla that breaks the spaghetti code of PvZ2 more and more with each update, Shuttle just keeps doing it, and by looking at the current mod state, it surely is just not worth it, for the developers especially, as instead of making new content, they are busy fixing some minor issues that should have never happened in the first place. The second big issue of Shuttle is its optimization. Nowadays as I write this, many players struggle to even open Shuttle. For some of them it's literally impossible and nothing has been done about it yet. My only resolve for Shuttle to work is by downloading it on a PC emulator, but you need a decent enough PC to do that too. So yeah, things are not really looking good. The main devs have also changed, so I guess time will tell where it's all going. No clue as for now. The third issue isn't as big as the previous two. It's mostly about the early world level design compared to the latest content. Kung Fu World or Steam Ages being absolutely weak, and let's be honest, it's just garbage. But Steam Ages is officially getting a rework, and hopefully the other weak worlds will get one too. But yeah, at least by looking at the time when Shuttle worked somewhat perfectly and the content they have been adding for the recent 2 years, I gotta admit that I had a literal blast. There are some quality aspect about Shuttle too. It likes to add a lot of custom music, both in-game and in the main menu. They know how to celebrate their years, let me tell you that, and well, I really hope the issues gets resolved and Shuttle finally stops updating the new vanilla build, cause in the long run, it just breaks the game and doesn't make sense at all. I'd have loved to give it an S, but there's just too many issues surrounding the mod right now to the point I would have also considered giving it an A, but hey, just have it A+, while community voted on it 274 times, placing Shuttle on the number 5 place. Oh my. Next up, PvZ2 Spice. The gameplay is very similar to PvZ2 Garden Rush, if not the same, but just a bit less attractive. 4 plant slots, 40 adventure levels based on each season, and some travel log quests. The main premise of the mod is to survive the approaching zombies with just the 4 plants that you can pick, while each season has some minor gimmicks that might either create some kind of hardship or help you fight off the zombies. Sadly, Spice doesn't have any new zombies or plants. Almost all of the plants have been slightly nerfed or slightly reworked, also making them nerfed, so the overall pace can be a little slower. But it's not all that really bad. I kinda enjoy the last chapter, which is summer. There we will have to utilize the water balloon gimmick to overcome the appearing flames on the lawn, that both damage plants and speed up the zombies. Backyard Big Top quest also has a new gimmick going on. Sooner or later you might also find a pretty lady, so to speak, so maybe play the mod just for her? Just kidding. Yeah, overall I have very mixed feelings towards this mod. Initially I thought I'm just not fond of such gameplay style, but yeah, PvZ2 Garden Rush showed that such gameplay can be an excellent addition. with just the right touch of quality and ideas here and there. Spice would sure have been a way better mod if it added some new concept into rather, in my opinion, a dull gameplay. Maybe add some more pretty ladies so there's a reason for men of culture to check it out. Lol. From me it's C, with the community ranking of 40 votes, placing Spice on the number 19 place. I'm sorry. Next up, PvZ 2 Thyme, another mod made by the developer of Legend X, Tony. Overall Thyme is about its title gimmick, that has various effects on the zombies. The mod can be considered a little hard, though I'd say it's mostly hard in the early worlds and in the very late ones. It introduces a lot of planned buffs, which are sometimes crazy, as for example iceberg lettuce will permanently chill a zombie till it's dead. There are also some new plants too. Each world has at least one brand new zombie that we can also see in other so-called Chinese mods, although Thyme has some exclusive ones. Sadly it has the same issues as Legend X. The early worlds are mostly bland, they just give off a lot of vanilla feeling, that has been mostly unchanged. Despite having a lot of new content, Thyme for some reason prefers to use it in the very late levels of each world, which doesn't make sense at all, but oh well. I'm also not fond of the pace of some levels, they tend to be both very chaotic and short. On average, beating a single Thyme level will take you from 2 to 3 minutes, leaving us with just emptiness at times, especially if the level seems to be well made. The Thyme gimmick can also be considered annoying for many, as it's literally blocking off your entire screen for 3 seconds, which might be a bit frustrating, especially if there's a lot of going on, which might cause you to lose, especially if the gimmick is set against you. Yes, the Thyme gimmick can be both good and bad. It might either help or create a hardship, but it's usually the harder part of it. But it's all not that bad, of course. The mod has plenty of advantages too. The new zombies it introduces are usually decent with some fresh ideas in them. Modern Day sure is probably the biggest world, as it has up to 50 levels, which is crazy. It adds a plenty of new zombies too, making it a good world, with just short levels. Plants can be fun to use and most of them have been buffed or reworked. There are also some new plants, so feel free to check them out. Recently Thyme has been also adding a plenty of exaptants, which for the most part make the mod more attractive, though there have been some questionable design choices. In short, things might get extremely hard, as if we were to play Legend X. Guess the purpose of it is to experience a Kaizo mod, while also having a decent plants to choose, so things aren't as extreme, but I feel like the more casual-sided players just won't keep up. I will give Thyme B. While the community placed it on the number 11 place with 116 votes. PvZ 2 WCreator. It's a mod with truly a lot of potential, but to this day I feel like the devs have to be either hiding something or just trolling its players. Like the developers behind WCreator seem to be very creative and somewhat passionate people, as this mod has also a plentiful of content, lots of brand new zombies, lots of both Chinese version plants as well as brand new ones. They even partly created a brand new world. They literally added something new to everything. Same with all the Chinese worlds port, same with Sky City. But there is just always something off with this mod. Sadly I gotta say that it's just quantity over quality. Lots of things are just simply unpolished, while the new zombies are sometimes alright. I'm just not fond of how most of the things are handled. Despite a rich choice of plants, most of the levels just either feel bland or the difficulty is absolutely ridiculous to the point it's not really fun, though personally for me it's actually an advantage as I'm a masochist. It's really hard to explain this, but I always feel like they make WCreator bad on purpose for some reason, like they are actively trying to make something look worse than it originally did. WCreator is also the only mod on this list that has a plant tier system on that has been mostly unchanged, so yeah. Talking about the difficulty, it all depends whether you want to tier up the plants or not, but there's no going back once you tier up a plant, though tiering up will make a little more sense here as the zombies are also leveled up in the later worlds. So yeah, this mod actually wants you to grind, just like PvZ 2 Chinese version does it. The most annoying thing about WCreator in my opinion is its sound design, SFX so plants and zombies. Overall game effects being way too loud and the overall volume can't be lowered down. You either have to volume down your system sounds or just completely turn off the in-game sound. So yeah, while there really is a lot of content, I've been mostly disappointed by it. There is just too many goofy elements, and if the developers aren't planning on fixing any of them, the mod is sadly just C tier for me. While the community ranking placed it on the number 16 spot, with 69 votes, nice. And last but absolutely not least, PvZ 2 Zombtopia. It's actually the only iZombie mode mod that I've placed on this tier list, and it's a really decent one too. At first I was pretty afraid of this mod as I got my butt whooped in Eclise's iZombie, and well, this mod isn't really that easy either, but there is a lot of both quality and new things involved. By iZombie, the gameplay naturally involves playing with only zombies, so this mod is a one giant puzzle of levels. Got to figure your way through to eat 5 brains in total, while defending the already organized plant setups with the zombies of your choice. So far there are only 3 worlds and a few travel log quests in total, but it sure is worth trying out. From the certain official leaks, the upcoming updates are going to be even more plentiful in content. I got to admit that I'm never really a fan of iZombie, but I'm sure excited to see the upcoming things and kind of can't wait to try them out. What can I say, just let them cook. iZombie we didn't deserve, but really needed. A+ from me. While the community ranked it on number 13 place with 98 votes, keep in mind that this mod is pretty much freshly released too, so the community voting is understandable. Not too many people have played it yet, so yeah, that would be it. Hope I'm not too detached from the reality and you can agree with at least some of my choices. This is the overall community score that I kept track of. Thank you for the participation and watching. See you next time, maybe.